Amitakepi. My name is Dara Ayat. I'm here to talk to you today about harvesting some pejikota. As we come out here onto the land, we notice in July, usually around Sundance time, that our sage is getting pretty tall. We've recently had some good rain. Right here is a kaupi pejuta. You'll know when these start getting brown that your sage is starting to get ready. This is a medicine that we can use just like aspirin for everything, bee stings, you name it. It's done now, so you're supposed to harvest it probably a couple weeks ago. But once it starts turning gris like that, then you know that your sage is good. So today we're gonna offer some nourishment to Unchimaka. She's been giving us rain the past few days, so it's a big wopila. We'll put our offering down, and usually my kids and I, when we come out here, it's the cricks, and we were always told that when you have something troubling you, if you have something bothering you, take it to a crick, because where there's water, it's life. And that's where our people were always praying. They were always beside a creek or a river. And so there's thousands of years of prayers that can match yours. So when we come out here, we like to get ourselves started. We say a prayer, offer our good thoughts and our way of thinking to the Creator. And then we sing the song. I use the same song because the words in it are so special. And it's about enveloping life and taking that breath of medicine to live again. And so the little song that my cousin taught me, and my mom used to say that, you know, when you're kind of timid, when you're shy, go to the cricks, and that's where you perfect your singing, because those songs that you sing are prayers, and you're crying to the Creator. So it doesn't matter what your voice sounds like as long as you're getting it out there. So we'll start with the song. Pejuta wachi tuktacha nizani nuweya. I usually sing that to the plants, and then my kids know that we're ready to go. We do it as we pray as we go. Everyone has their own prayer. So you look at your patch of pejikota, there's 4 different kinds of sage, just like there's 4 parts of life through everything. You know, the 4 parts of a plant. The root, of course, is the body. You have the stem, you know, you have the leaves, and then you have the top part. So there's 4 parts, and just like pejikota, there's 4 different types of sage too. So the sage that we're gonna get today is a Wichasha sage. It's the male plant. The female sage is very powerful. We'll use that, you know, sometimes if a person is on their time, but they really need to get into the lodge, they really need to get those prayers sent to the rocks, then they'll give them some pejikota or the female sage, and it'll stop their menstruation long enough where they can get their prayers heard. Sometimes they'll use it with our weans who are pregnant. It'll help start the contractions. You know, there's all kinds of different uses to it. For the sage that we're gonna get, we use this to pray with. We use it to smudge our houses, to cleanse ourselves. My mom always told me to put a little bit of a sprig on my left side, because that's where your chunte is, your heart is, and it'll protect you as you go through the day. Or sometimes if it's real hot out, you can put sage behind your ears and it cools you off. There's a lot of different uses for it. When you're out here, you should try and get enough for your next year. So you need to look at yourself, and you need to think, how much do I pray? Do I need this much? You know, am I gonna take some to auntie? Does grandma need any? So you should come out here in a good way and harvest what you can. Only take what you're gonna need. So if you pray a lot, You know, if you have a big family that you like to take care of, you know, you're probably going to use a lot. So when you get out here, you look for the tallest one. The tallest Pejikota is usually the Gakala, the grandfather. He watches over the whole Tioshpaya. This is a big extended family right here. So he watches over it, and you eyeball it, and usually he's in the middle. So he's right here. So you center him out, and then you can go around him, and you can start. You go toward the base of the plant. You never rip it from the earth. You know, that's just like pulling your grandma's hair. You know, you don't want to do that. You always wanted to braid your hair. You know, that's one of the things I miss about Maunchi is I miss hearing her at night. She'd braid her hair and sing. And that's a memory that, you know, I never want to fade. So I think about that when I'm out here. I think about the song she sang. I think about how she sang it, the tone of her voice. You know, those are memories that you keep with you. And it's a cycle. So you tell your kids the stories that you learned, and then it keeps going. It never ends. So you're out here, you don't pull it up, you cut it toward the base. So as you can see, you cut right there, and then you have a good sprig. Just hold it like that, and then you can get yourself going. Usually it's really hot out here. It gets real hot, and you know, there's cows, there's bugs, you know, everything's out here. But you just keep yourself busy, you keep yourself occupied. You know, you think about the good that's coming from this. If you're harvesting for other people, you know, you want to keep your mind clear, you want to keep your heart in a good place, because this Pejikota that you're getting, you know, if you're giving it to a family and you have bad thoughts, if you're fighting with your boyfriend or someone makes you mad, those feelings, that energy is going to go into this, because it's our brother and sister, and they don't like to see you feeling bad either. So you're going to give them that energy. So keep your mind in a good way, and always remember that you're one of them. I was told that this is one of the most powerful antioxidants that you could ever get. So like common colds, just little things, you know, if say you're getting sick and maybe your metabolism isn't that great, maybe you know, you have a little bit of anxiety, you know, you can take your Pejikota, and I usually take, because it's real pcha. Pcha is bitter, and my mom always say, the more pcha, the more medicinal it is, the more it's working. So, you know, you never want to put sugar or any sweetener into your sage tea. You know, usually I use about 7 sprigs, and I put it in my water, and once it hits that boil, it starts turning a different color. And when it does that, it's bleeding out. Just like how our Wichasha sacrifice during Sundance and they pierce for us. This sage is sacrificing itself so that we may live. So it bleeds out, and when it bleeds out like that, that's when you drink the Pejuta. You drink it and you never blow on it. That steam that comes up, that's very powerful. That's the breath of the medicine. And so that's what you try to take in. Even if it's hot, you drink it. You drink that steam. You never blow on it. You take it, because this is the medicine that's going to help you. And I was instructed to talk to this plant as you're making that tea. Hey, you know, Pejikota, you know, introduce yourself. Tell that plant, you know, I don't want to be sick. I don't want nothing bad to come to my family. Help me. Omakiaya. So, you know, these things like this are very powerful. The way we interact with them, our plant nation is our big brothers and sisters. They're here to take care of us, and we need to start taking care of them in a more respectful way. So, you know, there's so many different medicinal uses for Pejikota. You know, you can also, like if you get a spider bite, I just recently had a wolf spider bite me. And so I grabbed a sage sprig and I sucked on it. And it's real important too that when you're sucking on it, you know, you really try to salivate it, because, you know, they all tell us that we're sacred, you know, and especially when we're picking something from the earth, you're standing on top of the earth. You're very humble because there's mountain lions, you know, there's all kinds of elements that are out here that you're going against. The snake nation, the bug nation, you know, creepy crawler nation, they're here. So while you're sucking on that sage sprig, you know, you think about how you want to heal. You think about what's going on. And then you take it and then you squeeze it onto the bite, the infected area, and the Pejikota will take out like the venom or whatever's in there that's getting you down. And you're part of that healing though. So you have to believe in yourself as a Lakota. You have to believe the same way our ancestors did. Long time ago, they didn't have medicine men where you could just run to them for any ailment. We already knew the plants ourselves, and so we could just walk out into our pharmacy and we could pick something that will help our children with their stomach aches, that will help them, you know, with whatever they're looking for, you know. And this is the beautiful part of being a Lakota, is that they're our big brothers and sisters. They protect us. They're always here for us. They're never going to leave us unless we leave them alone. So it's important that, you know, we get our young kids out here. We teach them proper harvesting techniques. We teach them that, you know, they take enough and only enough. It's one thing to just have it set aside, and it's another thing to pray with it. So, you know, praying with it is very powerful. Once a week, I've been urged to make sage tea and drink it because it'll keep your insides good. It'll keep your immune system where it's supposed to be to fight off the different ailments that come on. So like when COVID hit, they told us to get Pejikota and the bitter root or the bear root and cedar, flat cedar. So, you know, we were making tea like that. We were mixing it up, and then my kids and I, we went through a whole year's harvest within 3 months. We were taking the medicines to the COVID positives, and it was really sad to see young and old Lakotas looking at us through, you know, a window. They couldn't come out, we couldn't go to them, but we could put that Lakho Pejuta, that Indian medicine, you know, we put it there. And we always wrote our little instructions, and it was really sad to see them looking at us because we didn't know if we were going to see them again. So my kids and I, you know, we really understand the importance of these plants. I want to thank my grandparents, my grandmother Rose, my mother Eva. They're always on me every year. It wasn't a choice. It was, you know, you have to go and get this, go do that. So, you know, now it's just natural, you know. Oh, hey, look, the you know, it's this moon, so we better get out there. And right now, Lakotas believe in a 13 moon system, and so the true summer solstice is coming up here. This next moon that we have will be the new year, the 13th month, and that's when we have the hottest day of the year, and that's when we have our Sundance. So, you know, this Pejikota, a lot of our Sundancers are out there right now. There's a lot Sundancing already, and this is what they use. They make their crowns, and you make your wristbands and your anklets, you know, and this is what you dance with. Sometimes if you don't have a fan, then, you know, you'll dance with this, and it makes you feel good, you know. You're out there, and for some reason, you know, in that real hot sun, having this sage wrapped around your head really cools you off. You know, I see some people, they make shades and some people don't, and, you know, but just having it on you is like a protective barrier. And, you know, you're in another world, you're in the spirit world already, and it's a good thing to have. So the Pejikota is something that I try to get and have on me all year. My kids and I have been recently asked to harvest for other elders, even medicine men, so we feel really honored. And so we try and hit up our spots. We go to the same spots, you know. We try to honor the plants in a good way. You always know when your sage is about ready to seed out, then your Pejiwashtemna is coming up. So, you know, there's just different things within the earth that you notice when certain plants are done, then this plant is ready. So it's like she's continuously like startling us with her beauty, even though we know it comes every year. It's like seeing it for the first time all over again. So, you know, and that's our spirit. That's our spirit meeting them. And just like old relatives, you cry when you see them. You know, you cry when you see your relatives after such a long time. And that's the same way with our plants. No matter how many years in a row you pick the pejijota, you dig your tipsila, as soon as you see them the next year, you fall in love all over again. And that's the beauty of our way as a Lakota. We're filled with that love from the Creator, from Ate. And you know, the Unchimaka, Ate, Wakantanka, they meet up. And when they're on top and underneath us, all we have to do is walk accordingly, and the medicines will watch over us and protect us. And that's all I've ever had in my mind. You know, my mom and my grandmas, they every summer, you know, Takoja Hiu, you know, we have to go. So it's like, all right, you know, what do we got to do now? And so now my kids, they're just used to it. You know, we get bit up, there's wood ticks, you know, a lot of times too, you know, you have to remember that even this blade of grass down here has a spirit. You know, it's been here for a long time. And so when you're out here too, my mom told me that wherever there's a patch of sage, that's where some Lakotas fell. So, you know, when you're picking this too, you have to think about the past. You have to think about your ancestors. Who was here before you? Who was gathering this? Who was making sure that their family was protected through prayer and the pejijota that they used to smudge? So, you know, it's just a continuous cycle. It's a chungleshka, a hoop of prayer. It never stops. And that's how we need to keep it, you know. We need to keep ourselves inside the circle. And I think that by harvesting, by getting out here, by getting your kids out here, yourself, you conquer fears. Some people are scared of bugs, you know, some people are scared of snakes. A lot of people are just scared to get out in general. There's a lot of Lakota that have a hard time physically. They cannot harvest no more, you know. So it's good to maybe ask your neighbor, hey, do you need sage? Because I know where there's some and I can get it, you know. And once again, never take too much, never rip it from the ground. You know, just take what you need, and always remember that you're the little sibling of this plant. So, you know, don't be too bratty, don't be too spoiled. Always listen to the plants, and you know, don't abuse them, don't treat them bad, because you wouldn't want to treat yourself that way either. And so I just want to let everyone know that you know, when you harvest your pejijota, usually around that first, second week of July, that's around a good time to get it. That's when it's going good. It hasn't seeded out yet. When it seeds out, that's when, you know, you got to leave it for the next year. You know, you got to leave it so that it can grow again. And you must always have a good heart and a good mind when you do this, because with a good heart, a good mind, you become that powerful prayer, and you might be the prayer that your Tioshbaya needs. So thank you very much. Hechitu.
A little patch in the...
Well, yeah, see, this is the female sage right here. Yeah. Hey everyone, right here we have some of the Wian pejijota. You can tell by the way it looks, kind of has like, she has a little perm, hey, but the if you look at her leaves, they're smaller and they're more like curly, and that's how you can tell and distinguish that it's the female sage. Once again, this is real powerful stuff too. It's good to have on hand, but only if you know how to use it. You know, it's usually used more ceremonial, but this is what it looks like. So this is the female sage. Generally when you're out harvesting, you want to get the male sage. So just letting you know, this is what it looks like. Okay, here we have some Pejiwa Shtemna, and it looks like some other, there's some really tall sage in here. I mean, sage that is probably as tall waist length. So, you know, in here you gotta be careful too. So look at how tall this one is. So the Pejikota out here is really good, and usually the ones that are inside these thickets, these buck brushes are pretty good. I see some Tkaopi Pejuta right there that hasn't turned yet. There's good little water source. There must be a spring that's close by because we've got some good growth right here. This plant is called the wild bergamot. That's the scientific name. When us Lakotas, we call it Pejiwa Shtemna. We use this plant in our sweat lodge, and we use it at home. You can see it. It's very beautiful. It's purple. The bees love it, so you always have to be careful when you're out here. It smells really good. So the Weans would use it kind of like perfume. In fact, to this day, a lot of people ask me, is the perfume plant out? And it's also called Hekaka Washtemna, or Hekaka Wachpe Washtemna, which is elk, smells good elk medicine, you know. And people say that, you know, you could use it for love medicine, you know, different stuff, but it has a lot of different medicinal purposes to it. You can use the leaves for it to, and the top, usually we hang it upside down to dry. And then sometimes, like, maybe sometimes you're having a bad day, sometimes you go to a house that, you know, it just isn't vibing, you know. So maybe they're arguing in there, you know. You come in, you can feel that tense air, you know. You could get some of this and mix it with your sage and burn it, and it'll cleanse your area, your home. It really is a good thing. Our people depend on these medicines, in the lodge especially. I have an auntie from Pine Ridge that we harvest a lot of this for. When you're out here too, you have to remember that you're not alone. The Wiwila Oyate, or the Chaoti Lilas, the tree people and the little people that protect the springs, they're here, and these are their plants. So, you know, sometimes, you know, you might run into them. And my oldest and I, we had that blessing from them, and it was very startling. It kept us on our toes, but it also reminded us of the power of our stories. And the story that connects us to this would be about my grandparents. My grandparents, Susie and Francis Lone Dog. They lived in North Antelope, and she was my grandmother Rose's baby sister. One day they were going back to the house, and they got stuck in the creek. And my grandfather, he jumped out, and instead of getting chonzeka, instead of having, you know, bad thoughts, he thanked the Creator. He said, "How tukashila?" He said, "Thank you for allowing me at my age the strength to push my beautiful wife out." And someone tapped him on his knee, and it was a tiny person. It was a Wiwila. He said, "Get in, I'll help you." So my grandpa jumped in, and he pushed, got him out of that creek. And so I always knew that story about that creek. And my oldest and I, we went to that creek last year to get some medicine, and I wanted to get a root. And so we got there, and we were there, and I was having him hold everything, and I was going to town. I was getting my stuff, and I heard some loud footsteps. So I stopped. I said, "Thorn," I said, "Be careful." I said, "I think there might be a horse." So he said, "What? Whatever, you know, we're in a big old open field. Creek right beside us." So I said, "Well, okay." So that quick, I looked over, and the tallest Washtemna I've ever seen. See that one right there? It's pretty tall, almost tall as me. It's aren't very tall, but anyway, I seen it, and I said, "Gee, look at that one." And when I took that first step, I thought that Wiwila took off running. Ooh, and it made every hair on me stand up, and I stopped, and I said, "Thorn, we're done. Come on, let's go." But we didn't run, we walked. We had to walk like a half a mile, almost a mile back to our car. But as we walked, he said, "Auntie, do you think that Wiwila was the same one that pushed Grandma and Grandpa out?" And it made me think, maybe it was. And my friend, he said, you know, maybe that Wiwila, the prayer that you had cutting, maybe it's the same prayer that your grandma and grandpa had. Maybe that's why, you know, they came to check on you. So, you know, you always have to remember that you're not alone out here. The Wamushkashka Oyate, the animal nation, you know, every nation is out here with you. And when you pray, you should be telling them thank you anyway, you know. Matko Oyate, Nigashana Oyate, Tuswecha Oyate, you know, they all come. Zintkala Oyate, especially, you hear the bird nation, and they're always greeting you, you know, they're always telling you, you know, hey, I see you, I love you. And, you know, it's a beautiful feeling. So when you're out here, you know, you're alone, you're getting your medicines, like I said, be in a good way, and always remember that you're the little sibling of this plant. And so no matter what, they're going to take care of you. So always watch yourself, just like you would watch, you know, yourself in any other way. And remember that the plants are here for us. They're here for us to take care of us, to help us, to nourish us, to keep us safe, and to help us live. And so always think in a good way and walk in a good way as well. Head you do.